Hello, everybody, and welcome to Everything in Moderation Debates, the September edition. So for this month's debate, we have abortion is our topic. Abortion, as many of you know, is a very touchy topic and a very hot topic in the United States right now. So for this month's debate, Christian will be championing pro-life and Maria will be championing pro-choice. So for those that don't know how our debates work, each debater will get a chance to say opening remarks at the beginning, brief opening remarks, and then I'll ask a series of questions, and then we'll also take questions from some of our viewers, and then move to closing remarks for a brief closing remark. So without further ado, I'm Christian. Let's hear your opening remarks.
Hello, everybody. I'm here to champion the pro-life side of this debate. The pro-life is a largely unpopular one in today's grand scheme of things, but I'm going to take a different tack with the argument today and hopefully find some common ground that's something that we can work towards in the future. Obviously here as a podcast, we just discuss ideas. We're not actually being the policymakers, but it's important to get these debates to happen and to have good intellectual conversation with each other, and hopefully we'll come to the thing. And as a Catholic, this is obviously a really, really important issue to me. Morally, I feel abortion is wrong, but I also understand the reasons why women have abortions, and my argument is going to be based more around that portion of it.
Thanks, Christian. Maria, let's hear your opening remarks.
Thanks, Anthony, and hi, everybody. I'm going to be talking about pro-choice because I am pro-choice, and I guess for my opening remarks, I really want to say that my main thing with being pro-choice is protecting women's rights and protecting and empowering women to be able to make decisions on their own bodies.
Okay, then. Let's move into the questions then. First question is for both of you. Maria can tackle it first. When does life begin?
That's a very good question because many people have different stances on when life begins. Some people will say as soon as, conception happens, and, cells begin forming to form a whatever you want to call it. But I think that's an interesting question that you ask because I won't get too deep into it right now, but, germs and bacteria, are also life forms. So, when we're washing our hands every day, we're getting rid of life. So it's really a matter of what you consider life to be.
Okay, Christian, when do you think life begins?
Well, science and biologists were polled for this one, and I think it was something around the neighborhood of like 90% of biologists believes that life begins at conception. And if you want to follow the science, it's right there for you. I would also agree with that notion as well. But there's obviously a lot, like Maria said, people could have different views on where life begins. A lot of people say consciousness is a good indicator of life. This goes back to our AI discussion. But personally, I believe that it begins at conception.
Okay, great. So moving to the second question, this is for Christian. Many people who are pro-life are often labeled as being anti-woman. Do you think that you're anti-woman?
No, quite the contrary, honestly. I do when I say that I'm pro-life, a major portion of it is that I want to make sure that if abortion was taken away from women, there would be other things to supplement care so that if they, now that they're going to have the baby, they'll be able to have more resources than they have now, so it's not so much am I anti-woman, it's I'm anti-killing of babies. That's the most main thing.
Understood. Maria, do you want to rebuttal to that?
Yeah, I like Christian's stance on that because I think that's one of my biggest issues with many people who are, against abortion or want to be deemed as, against women. And my thing is that, you have to look at the reasons why women want to have abortions. And some of that also stem from, not being able to take care of the child financially. And then we get into other extreme cases of like rape and incest, and that comes with like a woman wanting to keep a child. So, if other avenues were explored where women, it made possible where women can still have the children and they're financially cared for, or the baby's financially cared for by the state, or they don't have to go through that trauma of keeping a child that was a product of rape and incest. I think that I would also agree with Christian on exploring those avenues.
Cool. So next question is for you, Maria. Many many people in the pro-choice community claim that unborn fetus is a clump of cells, or it is not a living thing, etc. However, when sonogram tests came out, like couple decades ago, it proved that the fetus has a heartbeat, eyes, and many other human-like features, or just in short terms, that it's a living thing. Will you accept a science that proves an unborn fetus is a living thing?
Yeah, so I don't know at what um, point after conception, those body parts begin to form. I don't know if anybody would like to add like exactly when that happens, but I'm going to assume and I might be wrong, it might be in the second stage of abortion. But my stance on that is just that, like, even if I'm pro-choice, I always believe that abortion should always be like the last result in an unwanted pregnancy. That's my personal stance, and like, um, I definitely do think that past a certain point in, the after conception, like late, definitely stage three, um, a child should not be able to become aborted because a woman is able to know that she's pregnant at this point. So you can't make those decisions, in my personal opinion, after a certain point in stage.
Okay, Christian, do you want to rebuttal to that?
Yeah, I think just to clarify, I think the heartbeat law that was enacted in Texas, that was 6 weeks. So I believe that a fetus grows a heart at that point. So that's why it was called the heartbeat law. Um, and yeah, I mean, Maria touched on like why there's different reasons to have abortions. So I'm going to go into just a little figures of why women have abortions. Um, and the way that this study was conducted, it's like you could choose multi answer. So the number one reason was having a baby would dramatically change my life. That was 74% of all women said that got abortions. 73% said for financial reasons, 48% for partner related reasons. And now, more shockingly, because this is a major part of the debate, 1% cited rape and 0.5% cited incest. So they are the minority of why women have abortions.
Nice, nice. Next question is for both of you. We'll start with Christian. Is abortion a constitutional right?
I'm going to say no. I think that there is some sort of healthcare aspect of it, but then there's also the fact that you're killing a living thing inside of you. So I don't think that goes against our Constitution, because when we're protecting our rights as adults, and even when kids are children, you're also acting as if the fetus is going to have those same rights when it is born. So constitutionally, you're taking that baby's future right to live. That's why I think it's unconstitutional.
Okay, nice, nice. Maria, do you think abortion is a constitutional right?
That's a good question. Well, I think the key word to me is the future, taking away its future constitutional rights. So to answer that question, that individual isn't there at that point. So I think that'll answer that question.
Okay, then. Let's move on to the next question then. So this question is again for both of you. We'll start with Maria this time. So as I said at the beginning of the episode, abortion is a very touchy subject in America right now. And just recently, the state of Texas passed the heartbeat bill, which outlawed abortion until a heartbeat was detected, which is 6 weeks. And many other states have passed similar laws to Texas's bill. Like just the other year, New York passed a law which involved that you can abort a baby after birth, and the same thing is going on in New Jersey. And in Alabama, that same year, a couple weeks after the New York bill was passed, they completely outlawed abortion and put a lot of restrictions on abortion. The question for both of you, starting with Maria, is: do you think that these bills are too radical, or do they make sense?
I'm sorry, could you just repeat the question one more time, Anthony?
Um, the question is like, do these bills, like the bill passed in Texas, the heartbeat bill, and the bills passed in New York and Alabama a couple years back, are these bills go too far, or are they the way they should be?
Um, well, in terms of, the Texas bill that was passed, I want to say that I think that that liberty should be given to the woman who's going to be having the abortion. The heartbeat bill, 6 weeks. I also think that that's a little bit past 6 weeks might be a bit late to still be contemplating having an abortion. To be honest with you, because I also do listen to science, and at some point I'm not going to be here to say that's not a living thing, but I still would like to say that I think that that individual liberty should be given to the woman.
Nice, Christian. What do you think about these bills that are passed?
So from a pro-life perspective, I actually have a very interesting angle at this. I think that it is a little too radical, but not for the reason that it's totally outlawing abortion. It's because of the fact it's stopping the abortion from occurring after 6 weeks, which, fundamentally I think that's a good thing. But the problem is it doesn't make good on all the stuff that I mentioned before, like postpartum care. There's no emphasis on that, and that's a major like farsightedness that Republicans have with this issue, and I think it's the reason why they lose this issue 9 times out of 10 with the general public, is that like, I always see the different memes or whatever. They say pro-life, like Republicans are pro-life until the baby is out of the womb, right? And I think that they have a good point here. Instead of me just being like, scoffing at that, I think that there's a good point there to be made. Having affordable healthcare or free healthcare and something like that is something that would go along with this pro-life argument. So taking away this option for women immediately with no mitigation of losing that, it's kind of a problem, in my opinion. From the way that I would deal with it is, yeah, obviously I don't want abortion to occur. And if I could end it tomorrow, I would. But that's not reality. And taking it from a secular point of view, you can make it so that you can solve the reasons why women have abortions so that they do not occur again. That way, you're lowering the amount of abortions that occur. You're taking care of the finance reasons. You're taking care of, well, now the woman's going to miss work. She's going to miss out on her education. You can make sure that those things are taken care of. And then maybe that woman will have a different approach to the whole, am I going to get an abortion thing? So that's why, personally, I think that this bill, yeah, it's good. It's good that they're attacking abortion like this, but they're attacking it in the wrong way. They're attacking abortion itself. They're not attacking the reasons why abortion occurs. And yeah, the abortion occurring, that part of the reason, that part of the argument, that's going to take a while. Like what I just said, it's going to take a longer time to fix. But at the end of the day, it'll be more successful than outright banning it, where people are still going to have it illegally.
Nice, nice. This will be the last question before we move on to the our viewers' questions. And it's just simply for both of you: do you think that Roe v. Wade should Roe v. Wade be overturned? We'll start with Christian.
I'm going to say that, and I see that Eric posted a little thing in the chat there. I think that it shouldn't be overturned until there are things in place to make sure that the reason why women have abortions is statistically lowered significantly. So for now, leave it. But once it gets to a number where not so many women are having abortions, then yeah, maybe you could ban it, because then it's only a small amount of the population, not as much as they're having now. So it's important that we uphold that bill for now, but work on ways to gradually phase it out, in my opinion.
All right. What about you, Maria?
No, I don't think it should be overturned. I think that one of the main reasons, like I said, is protecting women's individual rights. There's not anything that can equate to, you know, the government telling what a man should and shouldn't do with his body. So I don't think it should be done for a woman, just morally speaking. I also want to bring up a few statistics that I did research, and back in 1972, when there were when abortions were still illegal, there were a number of like 40 deaths that were recorded. But by 1976, after abortions were legalized, the number dropped to two. So I want to also mention that, like, and Christian also touched upon this, something important is that if this becomes illegal, women are still going to have what is called back alley abortions. So it's really important for a woman to be able to, take care of her body. And if that's what needs to be done in her own choice making, then I think that needs to be done. I don't think that there should be a question of the government, banning something that is an individual right.
Okay, nice. So we'll move into the our viewers section now. So this was submitted just in by Eric. He says, should an abortion be legal until those things are in place then?
Yeah, so that was directed towards me. I do say yes, it should be legal until those things are in place against then. Obviously, as a religious person, I don't want it to be legal, but as Maria said, it's still going to happen, albeit illegally. And if it's illegal, it's not going to be safe. So then, there's going to be a whole slew of other can of worms to like be opened when that happens. So I think just the most strategic way to deal with abortion is deal with the reasons why women have it. Solve those reasons. And if you solve those reasons, then you'll get what you want. The pro-life group will get what they want in this case.
Nice. Maria, do you want a rebuttal?
Yeah, I still stand by my point that is and always will be an individual liberty of a woman. And basically just that, it's about empowerment and independence as like a foundation for the push of legalization that it's been built on. And, we can figure out how we can regulate, having a safe abortion, but it's definitely not something that the government should intervene on. That's like also telling, citizens how many kids they should have. And I don't think that's correct. And that's my rebuttal.
Okay, great. So this is a question from one of our viewers. So let me ask. It's on my phone, so let me ask it. HB 196 is set to pass during the upcoming legislative session in Texas, which sets to rebalance the castle doctrine. Now, homeowners do not need to retreat into their homes. They can immediately engage anyone they deem a threat on their property. If Texans have the right to immediately kill an intruder on their property, why don't Texas women have the right to terminate pregnancies in the case of rape victims, since technically they have an intruder, in parentheses, the rape baby, on their private property? And we'll start with Maria.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
HB 196 is set to pass during the upcoming legislative session in Texas, which sets to rebalance its castle doctrine. Now, homeowners do not need to retreat into their homes. They can immediately engage anyone they deem a threat on their property. If Texans have the right to immediately kill an intruder on their property, why don't Texas women have the right to terminate pregnancies in the case of rape victims, since technically they have an intruder, the parentheses, the rape baby, on their private property?
Okay, so thank you for that question. I think that's a really extreme um, question. The baby intruder in like your body. I guess it's a foreign baby you didn't want. So I guess technically they could do that. Like I think they could do that. I don't know what the law would say towards that. Maybe the woman would get in trouble for doing something like that and possibly die. So I don't recommend a Texas woman doing that in case she was. But that seems like a double standard. Definitely, I see that.
Okay, what do you say, Christian?
So I think that there's a good way judicially to look at that, right? So if someone is coming onto your property with intent to commit a crime, they did not commit that crime yet, right? In the case of rape, the crime already occurred, and unfortunately, the woman has the child, right? Um, so it kind of just brings into the thing. It's like the problem with this is it's not the baby that's the problem, it's the person who raped the woman that's the problem. Obviously, yeah, now the woman's stuck with a child that it's a permanent thing if she chooses to continue to go through with it. um but I think that this is a good time to bring up that in most pro-life arguments, and especially in like pro-life legislation, a lot of people are making exceptions for instances of rape. So that's where this kind of comes in here. But I also think that a person coming onto your property with intent to commit a crime is not an innocent person, whereas the baby inside the mother is an innocent being that hasn't done anything wrong. So it's taking a little bit of a different text. Like, I mean, from the Bible's perspective, and I try not to bring, like, I'm trying to keep this secular, but the Bible gives you a right to actually kill someone in self-defense because you are protecting your family, you're protecting your neighbor, you're protecting everyone around you, right? But again, and that if the woman is raped, then there's nothing really that it's said and done. Unfortunately, the only thing that we could do is seek justice for her and make sure that the person who raped her is judged accordingly.
Interesting. Nice take. So this will be the last question before we move into our closing remarks. Sean asks, why should the government be involved in any way?
I'll take a stab at it.
Awesome.
So in constitutional law, the government has this thing called police power, right? Police power is the capacity of states to regulate behavior and enforce order within their territory for the betterment of the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of their inhabitants. So yeah, you could have your disagreements on whether you think that that's right or not, but in the US, it's an undeniable fact that the government is allowed to do these things. The thing is our government isn't as hands-on as some other governments are. More authoritarian governments like China, Russia, they play their hand more in these type of issues, where Russia like outright banning gay marriage, right? So the US isn't as extreme in this case, but they're simply regulating the health and safety. So the health of the future generation is the babies in the womb. So that's kind of where this issue is of importance to them. So that's why, again, them working on the initiatives and decreasing abortion is a good thing in the long run for the US's future.
Nice. Maria, what do you think about that? Sean's question. No, yeah, Sean's question.
Yeah, so I think Christian did bring up a good point, and I also think that the government should protect its citizens first, and that becomes half of the population that are women. So they're going to, find other ways to do abortion, and if it does become illegal, and in that instance, the government is doing a disfavor to women by keeping it illegal and having these women, you know, put their lives at risk and in danger for not having the child. So I think that that's the first step, that why the government should not be involved in making those decisions.
Okay, interesting. Nice take. All right, so it looks like we still have more time to ask us one or two more questions. So I'm gonna pull up one of my questions that I have for Maria. Um, so my question for Maria is, most pro-choicers are pro-Planned Parenthood. In 2015, Planned Parenthood fell under scrutiny when they were caught on tape selling fetal body parts. Do you still support Planned Parenthood after this incident, and should Planned Parenthood be selling fetal body parts?
Yeah, so I don't know about I did not hear about the Planned Parenthood selling fetal body parts, but I do support Planned Parenthood. Um I not just for the reasons of, providing abortions to women who don't have the socioeconomic capacity to, you know, for these medical procedures, but they provide a lot of information to women and just everybody about using contraception, about pills, like birth control. So I think that in terms of sex education, Planned Parenthood is doing a wonderful job. So I do support Planned Parenthood.
Okay, Christian, what do you think? We have a rebuttal?
Uh, well, I mean, just the you said that they were caught selling fetal body parts.
Yes, 2015, they were caught on tape.
That is pretty ludicrous. That it, I mean, yeah, like that stuff like that. That is just unacceptable, and I don't think it's necessarily a reflection of Planned Parenthood as a whole. It may just be some crazy person that is involved in that in that specific location or whatever. However, I'd like to rationalize it, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, I think that Planned Parenthood they do other stuff besides just abortion referrals and abortion services, right? They could be around. It's overall, it's not a bad thing that they're there. But the thing is that I would really like to see is if it's Planned Parenthood plan for like postpartum stuff. That's what all I want to see. I want to see them work on more postpartum services after a baby's born, because then it helps. It'll help plan your parenthood better. So I think that I don't think anyone can really argue with that, because it's just it allows them to help the lower class, which they are said to be doing now. And if you expand these programs, maybe less people will have abortions. It shouldn't just go, oh, you don't really want the baby, okay, abortion. Like let's kind of think of all your options here. That's what I want that's what I want Planned Parenthood to embody going forward.
Okay, nice. This will be our last question. This is asked by Eric. Is giving significant moral consideration to fetuses or and embryos morally consistent? Example, people who are brain dead don't receive the same moral considerations. And either of you two can tackle it.
I think that the fact that brain dead people don't receive the same moral considerations is sort of sad. I think that they should receive the same moral considerations that people in the pro-life side of the argument give fetuses. It's just, but with what you see with this issue in particular is there's a lot of inconsistency on both sides, and it's hard to be totally consistent, because being consistent also implies that you kind of shoot yourself in the foot on this issue in particular, right? Because it's like pro-lifers who don't want babies to be aborted yet support a death penalty. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? So the thing is, people have to really look at themselves and try to be as morally consistent as possible, whilst also, like believing what you think is the right thing to do.
Miss Maria, what's your take?
Yeah, I agree with Christian. I definitely think it's a problem that people can't be morally consistent when it comes to, in putting in the two into consideration, brain dead people and fetuses and embryos. So, um, I think that if you're going to think one way, then I think that the other, in terms of brain dead people, should also receive the same moral consideration. Other than that, I feel like your argument would have a flaw. So,
Nice. So now we will be moving into closing remarks. And since Christian started opening remarks, Maria, you'll start with closing remarks.
yeah, so like I that abortion should always be the last result in an unwanted pregnancy. I think that the first most important like step that we can all take as like a wide community is advocating for sex education funding, and like using contraception, making that available to kids and teenagers, and like also giving them the consequences of having sex in terms of risk of like diseases and all that stuff, because I think that there's a bigger picture when it comes to what leads to a woman having an abortion. And like Christian brought up statistics, a lot of women say, well, I had an abortion because my life would change. So I'm going to assume that a lot of women who are young have abortions, and women who are just starting off in their career. Sorry about that, that's my dog. I also want to say that um, abortion should still be legal, and I am pro-choice because I think it is up to the woman. I think that she should have her individual rights just as men do, and I think that for safety reasons, I think that that's the main reason why they should be able to do what they have to do with their body. It's not about wanting an abortion in most cases. It's about them seeing that the state isn't going to take after their child once they have a child, that the state isn't going to provide for their child. So you have a child in foster care if they don't get adopted. And I think that it's very heartbreaking for a woman to have an abortion. And I think many women don't want to do it, but they feel like they have to. So if these problems are addressed, then I think that we can kind of solve this problem collectively, both on the pro-choice side and pro-life.
Christian, closing remarks.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to emphasize that I'm not anti-choice. I'm pro-life. It's just the fact of the matter is this is something we need to work on, and we need to look at it from a different angle, because strategically the Republican Party, this is a diabolical strategy. It's just going to create hatred. You're not going to get the votes. You're not even going to, like, if you're not getting the votes, you're not even going to be able to make this legislation. So, I mean, I even know, even though it's pretty crazy, but there's plenty of religious people who are pro-choice, which, that's sort of an inconsistency in itself. But the thing is you need to work on these initiatives. If you work on the initiatives and create all this after care, this postpartum care, we call back to the Hungarian family policy episode, talking about stuff like that, bringing that to the conversation. That'll make family life and parenthood a lot easier for people who are very scared of it, because I choose not to demonize any women that have had an abortion, because, again, like Maria said, their backs up against the wall. They don't really have a choice. I don't think it's the right choice, but I think that it's the choice that they feel is best for them. But the thing is we need to make that choice easier and a more clear option, to where they can easily choose to just go through the pregnancy and not deal with the stress of, am I going to be able to care for this baby financially? Am I going to care for this baby with my time, because I have to work? I can't, there's all these different things that single mothers in particular have to deal with. And then also just, Maria says sexual education. I think that there's some validity to that, but I also think that giving some sort of education on how to be a good mother and father, and like how to schedule some of this stuff. I mean, that's something that you don't learn. You can't learn from a textbook. You have to learn through experience. But I was looking back, and there's a home economics textbook from like the 1950s. It tells like women how to be like good mothers and stuff. It's like I was like, stuff like that going away, I think, is part of the reason why we're in this kind of hookup culture type thing. So, and again, if hookup culture kind of leaves, abortion rates will probably go down because then it'll be a 2-parent household. They can support the kid, and with some extra aid from the government, with these care incentives, I think that it'll be a good thing. Okay, that's
Well,
you got it, Anthony? You got it.
oh, I said my internet was a little unstable, but
Oh, okay. We have less than a
yeah,
minute.
nice. So, if you're watching on YouTube, we have a four-legged friend on the podcast, and look, I'd like to thank Christian and Maria for doing this. Awesome debate, and let us know who won.
The viewers won. That's who won. All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. And thank you, Maria, for being a great foil.
Thank you.
Have a good one, everyone.
See you
Bye-bye.
later, everybody.